Hello, welcome back to my channel. About 10 minutes ago, I just finished reading this book called White Patterns by Karen White. And it's about a family in Appalachia, Florida, who were a family of beekeepers. Like the grandfather is a beekeeper, and there's all this family tension because something major happened with two of the main characters, Georgia and Maisie, who are sisters. And you don't really find out what it is until more than halfway through the book. So basically, through half the book, Maisie is just very, very angry at her sister, and that gets really old after a little bit because the book is told in like three perspectives. So you read like George's point of view, her sister Maisie, and then also their mother Bertie. So it's told in three different perspectives. And so then when I would get to Maisie's, I'd be like, okay, is this going to be the chapter where she forgives her sister? No. So then I have to keep reading and see if this is ever going to happen. I mean, part of me was like, okay, it's gotta happen at some point. What kind of book would it be if it didn't? But then it also is kind of like a sweet little story, like with the family and everything, and then researching like a teapot. That's how Georgia lived in Florida, but then she like ran away to New Orleans, and she like appraises items and stuff. And then you also meet James, who she's appraising an item that belonged to James's grandmother. It's found in a cabinet, and he comes with her. Even though she barely knows him, she takes him along reluctantly. She's like, okay, I guess I will. And it's good that he's there because he helps ease a lot of the tension between Maisie and Georgia. And so it's a really good thing that he was there. And he's kind of one of those people you find in the book that he says exactly what needs to be said at the right time. And he kind of eases the mood and has a little bit of humor in there. And so I kind of just fell in love with James, just like his character and how kind he was. And he was not judgmental even when something major like that involved Georgia spilled out. He didn't judge her at all because he had his own demons he was dealing with and things in his past. And you would think he would be really judgmental, but he was not at all. He just seems like such a kind gentleman in the book. I just kind of fell in love with James's character. And then you also meet Bertie, who has been rendered mute because of a tragic event, and then she just can't bring herself to talk anymore. She hums show tunes throughout the book. And then the grandfather, who's a beekeeper, and he suffers a stroke, which renders him unable to really write or talk. So he can't talk either, and both of them really hold clues to the big mystery that's surrounding their family and the teapot and everything that they spend the whole book investigating. And then you also meet Becky, who is Maisie's daughter, and Becky's really sweet. She plays tennis. She's smart, but she's also kind of the peacekeeper because she wants to get along with her aunt, and she's never really met her aunt, but she just wants to get along with her, and she really wants to get along with her aunt, but also get along with her mom, and so she's just kind of the peacekeeper, why can't we all get along type thing, and wants to hang out with both of them. So you find that with Becky too. She's 9 years old, but very, very smart for her age and catches on quickly. And so yeah, it's a nice story. And there's one part where I was reading. It's when Georgia first showed up to her and staying at her Aunt Marlene's house, and I was saying to myself, this is such a comfort book because the way she shows up at her Aunt Marlene's house, and her Aunt Marlene doesn't judge her for what has happened in the past, and it's just she's just hanging out at her aunt's house, and I could envision me doing that at my aunt's house, my Aunt Christine's house. I could just go to her house and I was picturing myself sitting at her dining room table and being at her house as I was reading it. And I was just I just felt a sense of warmth as I was reading that section. And I really loved that part, just her talking to her aunt, and her aunt is part of her family, was more of a mom to her than her own mom was. And her aunt was not judging her. She was just kind of okay, that you know what needs to be done, and gave her lots of good advice. And that was kind of what my aunt would do too, which was a second mom to me growing up. But yeah, so I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars just because I think the bitterness between Maisie and the anger that she holds on to goes on for way, way too long. I think it could have been cut way shorter. And, like, there's a lot of repetitiveness that happens throughout the book. Like, it's just like more of, okay, they're looking through catalogs, they're looking through this, he's looking through the internet. And Georgia doesn't own a cell phone, and she's my age. Like, in the book, she's in her 30s and doesn't know how to work a cell phone. That's kind of embarrassing, honestly. That she's acting like she's like, an 80-year-old woman who's never had access to technology. It's because she chooses not to own a cell phone. And I'm like, I kind of thought that was stupid. Why you wouldn't have a cell phone and you're in your 30s, and and she doesn't know how to use it. So that kind of got me too. It was kind of like, eh. But yeah, it's a lot of like the same thing, and James has to do all the researching on his computer. That's all they spend their time doing, and it's a lot of just searching through catalogs and dealing with the bitterness of sisters. But then it just like made me thankful for my own sister, because my sister and I have never had those issues. I mean, we talk over instant messenger, and sometimes over the phone. It's just due to our crazy busy schedules and such. But we're like the same age as the two sisters in the book, and we've never had an issue like that would drive us apart for like 10 years and not speak. So it made me thankful for my sister too as I was reading it. That's it. Flight Patterns, Kieran White. I would check it out. I mean, I bought it for really cheap at the grocery store, and I'm kind of glad I only paid a few bucks for it. And now I will be donating it to a little free library in the Denver area so somebody else can get some enjoyment out of it. Another thing too, you will learn a lot about bees in this book because it takes place on a bee apiary. Because the grandfather's a beekeeper, so you will learn a lot of historical facts about bees, which was actually very interesting because I'm scared crapless of bees. I can't see them; they scare me. But now I know like how good they are, and like what their patterns are, and how they protect the queen, and you just learn a lot of bee facts too, which is kind of interesting too. But yeah, I would check this out. Like I said, 3 out of 5 stars. It's called Flight Patterns by Kieran White, and now I have this app on my phone called Spin the Wheel. I was turned on to this app by somebody at a book club I'm in on Facebook. I'm a part of like 6 book clubs on Facebook. So I'm going to spin the wheel. I have 2 wheels. I have one that says what to read next, Kindle version, and then what to read next, which is like book format. So I'm going back and forth. So I'll read like a book in like book format, and then I'll go to my Kindle. So I get usage out of both. So right now I am going to spin the wheel. Alright, looking like I'm going to be going with Outlawed. That was a recent Book of the Month pick type thing, an add-on for Books of the Month, which I'm a part of. And I've heard mixed reviews on that one, but I've heard some people say that they loved it and it was really cute. I've heard others say they hated it. So this will be interesting. So my next book will be Book Outlawed. Okay, thanks for checking out my video, and I will update you once I finish reading Outlawed.